Afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Afternoon, everyone that's watching. It's Graham Coath with another My Music. Sorry, I've made 22 Oceans work really hard already this afternoon because they were downstairs in their house, but we were getting a bit of a delay. So they've all run upstairs carrying furniture as well. So thank you guys for doing that so much. Before we go any further and before we have our little ad break, just please introduce yourself. So we got Mike on the end. Yep.
And Coath.
And
Keely.
Hello, everybody. And lovely photos on the wall. Maybe we'll talk about that.
This is my this side of the room is the toys with the synthesizers, but you can't see them. And that side is the day job, unfortunately.
Oh, the day job. Oh dear. We all have to have one of those at the moment, don't we? Anyway, we're gonna hear from our sponsor now, and we'll be back in a minute to find out more about 22 Oceans. So stay tuned.
I need to get going, mate. I'll see you later.
Now, normally on this program, I ask people to tell me about their life in music, going right the way back to when they were young whippersnappers. But of course, you've got two people here in the group who are already young whippersnappers and, and aren't necessarily very old at all. How old are you two?
We're 17.
Wow. So, okay. So let's start with Mike at the end.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll work our way over. And you can sniggle or giggle or whatever else you like at Mike as he tells us. Mike, tell us, where did music start for you?
I was asked this actually the other day, and I remember being young and hearing certain songs on the radio. So things that are really sticking in my mind. The first time I heard Sparks, Number One Song in Heaven, Gary Newman with Our Friends Electric, OMD. Before then, I was just buying pop songs, whatever kids buy. But there was a set music that was really resonating with us. It was clearly, obviously, that new electronic age in the 80s. That's how old I am. And yeah, that just consumed me, at the time. I wanted to be in those bands or whatever. So, begged, stole, borrowed Christmas presents, tried to get, synths and things together. Was in a few bands at school, and it's just sort of been a hobby of mine ever since, really.
First little thing that you learnt on a synthesizer? I mean, for me at the time, it must have been either Aha.
Oh yeah.
That Take on Me, or the one that everyone played at the time and it drove everyone nuts was Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer.
Yeah, I think mine were probably Enola Gay, OMD. I think I did Aha as well, because that was quite an easy one to suss out on my little Casio keyboard.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. We were all amazed at the time when synths first came out. There was this button on it called Demo, which normally was, do you remember, it was Wham! Last Christmas.
Oh, right.
Virtually every keyboard that you could buy in Dixon's, remember that?
Yes.
At the time, yeah, it was Wham! On the Demo thing. Oh, it's just dreadful. And loads of kids bringing them into school and going, yeah, I can play keyboard, and then 1,000 keyboards all playing Wham! At the same time. It's just not a good thing. So tell me, were you a geek about electronics and the electronic music as well as being into the music as well? Because a lot of people were at the time. I mean, I know, I used to read all of the magazines, electronic music, and and look at all of these great gadgets that were coming out, because it suddenly came out so fast, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first got into it, MIDI had just appeared. So that was the thing to try and get hold of. My first proper synth was a Casio CZ101, if you remember those. The mini kicks on. First drum machine was a Boss DR110, I think. But it was, you got the magazines and dreamt. And then, you might have got something for Christmas, or we had there was secondhand musical instrument shop in the nearby town. So you'd be, staring through the window at the things you couldn't afford, and then maybe you could buy an effects pedal or something. So yeah, it was very sort of embryonic and experimental. What you
I know, but you actually had to go to the shop to get those secondhand things. It's not like, or you know, look out in the newspapers, didn't you, for little ads?
Oh yeah.
But it's not like these days where you know there's eBay. You know, you want to get an old equipment, you know, someone else's secondhand equipment or whatever. You can just look on eBay and wait till it comes up. You know, it's completely different world. So first things you were sort of really buying were OMD, as you say, Gary Newman, etc. When did you first start writing?
I think it was about 16, 17. There's me a guy in work who's very much a guy in school. Sorry, who was very much into Ultravox. So he thought he was mid-yaw, you know, we just, you know, I managed also to get one of those little Tascam 4-track recorders as well, and we just first we doing cover versions, you know, trying to work out songs and how they worked, and then we started experimenting with our own stuff. I think some of it is on tape somewhere, cassette tape. I'll try and dig out, but yeah, around 16, 17, we were trying, not very successfully, to write our own songs, which were basically rip-offs of OMD, Depeche Mode, and you know, whatever they were doing, we were trying to copy.
Yeah. So come on, girls. You've heard Mike's version of the story. What about you? When did you first start getting into music?
Probably when we started music lessons when we were 6 or 7. I started singing lessons, and you did guitar lessons. I think
I started guitar lessons when I was like 12, and then we've been singing together though since we started singing. Because obviously we're twins, so
lived together.
Yeah.
So pretty young, really. But
And listening to what growing up?
just all the normal, like,
yeah. Don't want to admit it, I did listen to One Direction a lot and JLS when I was younger, growing up.
Yeah.
And then kind of got into like the Lumineers and Simmel, so it's quite different to what it was when we were younger.
But yeah, look, everybody grows up with pop music, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one thing. Quite often, especially on, you know, because I follow the people around on Twitter, and people talk about what music they're listening to and maybe what their first album was. You know, whenever you get those kind of questions where someone goes, "What was your first album?" and you know, some people go, they bring out an album, don't they? And they say, "Oh yeah, my first album was the Smiths, this, or the Doors, this, or whatever." It's absolute rubbish. I can't believe for a minute that was the first album that they ever bought, or if they did, they were listening to music far too late. You know, my first album, I'll be completely honest with you now, was first album was Father Abraham in Smurfland. I
remember
a real gem.
Yeah, mine was the Muppet Show album, just to let you know.
Was it the Muppet Show album? You see, but that makes sense, doesn't it? That makes sense, you know, because if you start young, you know, and you're this high, you wouldn't be listening to the Smiths. Well, if you were, it's a bit dire, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want my sort of 8-year-old listening to Heaven Knows I'm Miserable now. I mean, I feel a bit
Have
bad.
You two lived in the Smiths?
Yeah.
No, good. I think that's one.
Oh, right, there you go. There you go. So yeah, that was the first album, and the first single was Puff the Magic Dragon. There you are. Now that's keeping it real.
Song.
So Lumineers, you mentioned Lumineers. Now obviously, as soon as I heard your voices together, do you know who I was thinking of?
I don't know.
No. I was the first thing that came to mind was the Unthanks. Have you ever listened to the Unthanks?
Nope.
No.
Wow, there you go. You should listen to the Unthanks.
Okay.
All right. They are a folk group with two female vocals, which are very, very, very strong together. So, in terms of style, where did you get your inspiration from?
It just kind of.
I think it came from everyone, kind of, because we don't really listen to, like, both of us.
Yeah.
Don't really listen to certain people. We kind of swap between them.
Yeah.
So we don't really have like a specific genre.
We just kind of do. If we're gonna do some music, we'll just sit at the piano and like, or you play guitar.
Yeah.
and then we
just
kind of
pick a
come
song.
up with whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you've got going on, if you don't mind me saying, is you've got going on the one hand, you've got kind of this traditional close harmony folk kind of vocal going on, and on the other hand you've got the electronic side of things.
Yeah.
And that's quite a nice that's quite a unique and an open combination. You know, it's not openly traditional in that sense, but the vocal is in a way quite traditional, because you know what I'm saying in terms of electronic music, sometimes it's actually it's quite unusual to have close harmony like that in the electronic music. Quite often you have a distinctive voice that's quite edgy in a way or whatever, and it cuts right through with the electronic sound, and it has that kind of almost adds to the metallicness of it. But to have something so nice over the top is quite unusual. So, I mean, is that something you discussed between you when you were writing, or it just happened organically?
Really? Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's an age gap. I know that the girl's parents, and I remember, I think you were with your dad, and we were talking about music and things. Said all the girls had just recorded something, and he played it on their iPhone. It was the pair of them singing and playing piano with the harmonies, and obviously I was like, wow, you know. And I said, well, I just been playing electronic music for forever, you know. So we had a chat and things, and you had an idea of a song, which the first one we did was called Drifting. And I you know, always worked, because I don't want to impose my style on these guys, but I think they liked what I was doing. So the first track was really a happy accident. You know, it's very synth heavy, you know, very 80 influenced. But that was a choice by me. And I just say the girls do their thing. You know, you just do it. You know, it's weird. You know, and I'll say, well, do you want to do some harmonies? Yeah, we go and do it. And it just works. We can't explain it.
And girls, do you have an input into the vocal side of things, and the writing of the lyrics, etc.? Or
yeah. Karis writes most of the lyrics.
The two songs we've released with them, they're Karis' songs. Oh no, well, it isn't released yet. The other one we've done together, but the new one out called Home, again, they came from Karis. You know, basically the chord structure and you know, you have verses and things, and then we work together to try and get a song structure together. You know, or I'll say we need another verse. So off she goes, comes back with some more lyrics, and we try ideas. I mean, sometimes I'm sort of left to my own devices, and I'll fire it over, said, look, I've moved that around, or I've chopped that off. What do you think? And they'll say yes or no. You know, and we piece it together between, as I said, the day job and your college. You know.
Yeah. When did you start this project? Was it in the middle of the pandemic, etc.? Or
middle of last year, wasn't it? I think we started. Yeah.
So did you have to do some of the writing sort of electronically and throwing it backwards and forwards by file share? Or
really, they come here most of the time, because I've got all the kit which you can't see, it's all in front of us here. And actually, my son's bedroom through there is the vocal booth. You know, we have everything runs down the corridor. It is quite basic, but
the son gets chucked out, does he? For vocal recording? Excuse me. Oh, I see. Fine.
Got rid of him. Working with the girls, I've given them a laptop. You already have your own digital, you know, MIDI keyboard, and we're just starting that process of bouncing the ideas between us, really. So I use Cakewalk as my main DAW, have done for centuries, and that's what you guys have got, and we're just working out how they can put ideas down in that. But they literally live 100 yards down the road, so it's
right. Incredibly convenient. Yeah, no, incredibly convenient. So is the hope to continue this up and work through up to a whole album?
We're trying to, yeah. As I said, unfortunately, the day jobs and college get in the way. So, you know, it's piecing bits together at weekends and evenings and stuff. But we've got 3 songs we've done together, definitely. There's another 2 in the pipeline we're working on. I've got a couple more ideas which we'll bring along. So we're hoping ultimately there'll be a 10-track album. We've just released this EP, which has got 5 tracks on, 2 remixes. In fact, you know, I'll hold it out to the world. Available on Bandcamp, CD or digital download. But yeah, you know, it's just getting used to that process and working together. and push things along.
Are you hoping to do any of this live at some point?
We've discussed it, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've had no offers of yet, but we are working out how we can do it live. I mean, there would be a lot of computers and secrets involved, obviously. I've only got 2 pairs of hands. We've talked about you maybe playing a bit of keyboard live as well. And obviously, if you start using your guitar skills, they'll be in. We have talked about it. I mean, if we got the call tomorrow to go on a show or something, it'd be a bit of a panic, wouldn't it? We'd have to work out how we're going to do it. But you know, we are having discussions, and we'd like it really, wouldn't we? We'd like to try it, definitely.
When you start writing music, you actually then start to change the way that you listen to certain bits of music as well, and in fact, your ear starts to gravitate towards things that sound, in some ways, similar to what you're producing as well, and especially if you're putting together something that is you know, different maybe from what you've grown up listening to. So for all of you, has your music listening experience expanded with doing this project as well?
I certainly have, but the bands that you guys have mentioned, in fact, we put a playlist together the other day of songs to you know, that have influenced us or we like, and you introduced me to a couple of artists I've not even looked at, because I must admit I'm a bit blinkered, old school 80s, you know, but you know, that Lumineers, and what was the other one with the thank you,
sorry, what was that?
Simmel.
So
IML, as I call them.
So there are new things coming through, and you girls as well. Have you been listening to some of the old 80s stuff as well?
Yeah, I definitely say
I did,
a lot more than I used to. Yeah.
Like getting into doing this, because I think before I probably didn't listen to the 80s.
But you discovered Blondie, you know, which is you know, I didn't push them in that direction, which I like Heart of Glass, you know. Denis, First Aid Kit. You know, we both discovered differently, really. You know, because they've got that vocal thing going on as well. And
they definitely have. Well, they're a tremendous band, aren't they? First Aid Kit. Yeah. Again, I can hear that going on in there as well. You must check out the Unthanks as well, though. You must check out the Unthanks. So in terms of I'm going to ask this one to the girls. In terms of what you've learned going through this process, because you're still really young, just starting out. What have you learned in terms of, you know, what's required in terms of getting out there in the music business and starting to write things?
And probably just keeping on to a deadline, you know, like
it's my fault.
and just not trying to go too much towards what's being put out there already, to do our own thing and stuff like that. Not actually worrying about what other people are doing, but worrying about the quality of what you're doing. You know, that's so important. I mean, Mike, how much has it helped you having young people in the band that really understand things like social media and other things like that as well, in terms of how you get this stuff out there these days?
Well, I had a big learning curve anyway when I you know, getting the stuff out there. You know, you're always Twittering and Instagramming and things like this. I tend to look after that with the band, to be honest. Just because I work in IT, so I can squeeze it in on my various devices and keep an eye on it.
But are they nagging you all the time that, you know, you need to do a TikTok night? Come on.
I think I'm nagging them now. We need to do that kind of thing. I've been talking about, you know, doing little short TikTok videos of them singing and things, because that just generates more and more interest, and you've got to build that kind of thing up slowly. You know, I mean, when I was younger, you know, you could sort of generate a bit of interest in your local town. People will go and see a band if they happen to be on in the local bar or something. Now that it's all changed, you know, I call it a TikTok generation and stuff. It is all online and streaming and that celebrity thing. It's very difficult to get noticed. I mean, the last track we played on BBC Introducing The other week we got on there, Fresh on the Net had as one of their top songs, you know, and you think great, and your streams go up about 30 plays, you know. It's quite depressing really, but we're more into it for the hobby, you know, that to get together and these tunes is, you know, we're right. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but we're writing them for us. In fact, the next song is a swing number, you know, you know, with the harmonies. It's very sort of Chicago from the 30s, I think. Very electronic still, you know, it's got the electronic instruments, but I had the idea and the girls went with it, and we're going to give that a go as well.
Well, what I would say is, you know, having gone through the experience myself when I was your age, it's one of the things I think you learn from being in a group and going through this and doing all the DIY of getting the stuff out there, whatever. And it is different these days, you know, a lot of it is social media presence and pushing it, etc. But the bit that is still the same is you do learn a lot about business. And I don't know whether that's kind of rubbing off on you girls at all, but do you feel like you're actually learning some business skills in this as well?
Kind of, yeah. We talk about the money.
Well, I mean, we've had like things registered with PRS and stuff, and you know, they know I've been through that with you, so they know the process of, you know, we argue
PRS, MCPS. I mean, it's all there, isn't it? It's all,
you know, we're doing all of that. I'm showing them that. In fact, for this single home, we're working with a PR agent. So again, just to try and get it a bit more out there, so, you know,
that'd be Shauna,
yeah, shameless. She's helping us out with this release. So and you know, the sort of Twitter pings, let's call them, and I've just gone through the roof, you know. Lots of sort of radio bits and bobs, and even this came, you know, through Shauna speaking to you. So all this is new to us. This is our first band interview, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, there, look, it's a first. Thank you. I didn't. Yeah, you know, that's always lovely when I have a first interview on, and you know, even things like this, learning to do interviews, it's an important skill. And you know, I've met bands over the years and doing interviews that have been absolutely dreadful at interview, but it's one of those things that unless you're doing them on a fairly regular basis, and unless you actually, you know, watch them back afterwards, which you might go, oh no, do I have to watch this back afterwards? But unless you watch it back and you think about the things that you didn't say or did say, and, you know, think about improving it, you won't get better at it. So you have to be slightly self-critical in order to improve, don't you? All of the time. So it's a great learning curve. Enjoy it. That's what I would say, you know, because it may happen to you only once in your lifetime, and then you might end up in a job where you just don't have the time for it. So enjoy the experience while it's there. So what's the ambition other than maybe playing this live, getting an album together? What's the driving ambition for this project?
I mean, well, what I said to the girls is every time we release something, I see it. We bought a lottery ticket in the music business. I think, you know, it is. I mean, I've been involved with bands and things for years. I've done promotion and stuff. I was an entertainment manager at a student union, so I've sort of seen it from that side. But yeah, I think nothing's guaranteed. You know, you can have the best song in the world. I've heard great bands and had songs that have never got anywhere, unfortunately. But so we just say, you know, it's a lottery ticket. Let's see. Someone might hear it. Somebody might pick it up. You know, and then let's see what happens. We're not delusioned, you know. We haven't put the order in for the mansion or the Ferrari just yet. But you know, and it's a good hobby. I think, you know, I really love the time we spend together, just bouncing ideas and recording. And a lot of the time, even your vocals are sort of done. I wouldn't say on the fly, but you're working out what you want to do, and I want to try this harmony. I want to try that there, and I love that sort of interaction we have. So.
Right, and Mike, you held up a CD earlier.
Yes,
which, I mean, there's a great opportunity to hold it up again. There you are. Bring it a bit nearer the camera so that everyone can see. There you go. That's available on Bandcamp. Yes, at the moment.
And just another plug. We teamed up. There's a homelessness charity called Stone Pillow.
Oh, right.
They'd heard this track and said, "Okay, let's work together." So all the proceeds are going to those guys. because
wow,
the
that's
theme of the song is about being safe and at home and with people and things, and they thought that was a great tie-in. So
well. If there isn't another reason for people to put their hands in their pocket and buy it, there's the reason right there. That's tremendous. Yeah, I remember once working with a music project that helped homeless people on the streets of Bristol. Well, such a satisfying thing to do. So yeah, that's tremendous. But what I was going to ask about the CD is obviously that's old school, right, girls? I mean, that's old school having a CD. But how excited were you to actually have a CD? Given your age.
Yeah, it's good.
I think your mum and dad were more pleased.
Yeah, because they've got how many of them?
Yeah.
Do you physically buy music yourselves these days? Do you physically buy CDs or vinyl? Are you actually into physically buying music, or would you typically?
Sometimes we listen to it in the car. Really, that's where we listen to it.
See, it's not dead. It's not dead. People think it's dead. People think that it's got, but actually, interestingly, CD sales, although they continue to go down year on year, last year it halted a fair bit. And actually, they do predict that maybe this year it might actually creep up again. Tape sales were up last year.
Yeah, saw that, yeah.
Right, tape sales were up last year, and vinyl sales were very definitely up. There was a massive increase, and which has actually caused a problem. But you do know that there's a new vinyl factory now in Middlesbrough.
Oh, right. I knew there was an issue.
Yeah. To meet the demand, because obviously certain people, ABBA, Adele, etc., used up all the vinyl. So so someone had to make a factory to get out of it. Would you love to see your music on vinyl?
I know I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I've still got a lot of vinyl, and I throw it on every now and then. Even new stuff I've bought, the bands I like, because I like having that thing you can hold, that piece of art, or the cover you can read, who played what and the lyrics and things. But I'd love to get this out and get something out on vinyl one day.
Well, I hope it happens. I hope it happens for you. Thanks so much for coming in today. Now, there's one thing that I always end with asking, and of course I've got to ask it 3 times now. All right, because there's the 3 of you, which is, if you could work with one person, dead or alive, who would it be? And I'm expecting 3 different answers.
I've got one. What, shall I go first?
Yeah.
Vince Clarke.
Vince Clarke. Oh, something told me that might be the case.
Yeah.
I mean, the man was just in it, wasn't he? Depeche Mode, Erasure,
Yazoo.
I mean, he was just all over it, and it was just fascinating reading all of his interviews about equipment and everything else, all the ways that he produced his music. It's just incredible. He actually wrote some amazing songs. Yeah. So Vince Clarke, there we go. So we might get a remix by Vince Clarke at some point. That would be good.
Oh, please.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. Why Freddie Mercury?
I don't know. I just love all his songs.
Yeah.
Because we've got the CD in the car, don't we?
Yeah.
But that's obviously of Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's kind of
Is it the control on the vocal?
Yeah.
It's the range and the control.
Yeah, and like the diversity in how they make the songs.
So I've got to ask you, when you say Freddie Mercury, have you watched the moment at Live Aid with the hand in the air?
Yes.
Did you cry?
I didn't know.
No. Okay.
I mean, I saw that live. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but I saw it on TV when it happened, and it was a goosebump moment.
It's for me, that is one of the goosebump moments in the history of live music. I don't think anything has been quite so, as a front man moment. That is kind of encapsulated as, that's how you do it. That is how you front a band in front of thousands of people. And what about you? Well, so we've had Freddie Mercury, Vince Clarke, and
I think I'm just going to say, I'd say the Lumineers, even though obviously that's a different decade. But yeah, I think I'd say them.
And what is it about their music that
I don't know,
would make-
it's very like very similar to kind of the folk stuff that we do, and then the just I don't know, the atmosphere of the songs, which is very nice. Yeah.
Again, great songwriters, very, very good songwriting. And as you say, yeah, atmospheric, capture emotion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to tagging all of those people in as this goes live, just in case, because we always do that, just in case one of them ever just goes, yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, yeah, be great.
Get a knock on the door tomorrow. Hi. I mean, Freddie Mercury, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I'd
All
be kind of surprised if you're not on the door.
But we can tag the rest of Queen in, and you never know. You never know. So you might get Brian May calling at the door. Vince Clarke, obviously that could happen, and the Lumineers. Yeah, you never know. So maybe them to produce the second album. How about that?
Oh, yeah, it's a deal.
That would be good. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Been a pleasure.
People can get hold of this on Bandcamp. What's your name on Bandcamp? Is it
22 Oceans? Yeah, we've got the
22 Oceans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. So if you want to support not only 22 Oceans, but also a charity that's working with homeless people, get over to Bandcamp now, find 22 Oceans, and get yourself a copy of the CD. Does that include the download, or is that just
you get the digital download as well? Yes. And there's actually tracks on the CD that you can't get on streaming at the moment.
Oh, you see, that's clever. That's smart.
So there's a couple of remixes on there by a couple of other local bands as well and things. So we hope that will entice people to listen to something they can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, and actually, if you throw in an extra couple of quid to the homeless organisation, and you tell them, they might even sign a copy for you. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just so that you've got a signed copy at home. Brilliant. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining me. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of this year. I look forward to hearing the album at some point. All right, that's going to happen.
Get that eventually, won't we? I think.
Yeah, you definitely will. Definitely will. And until then, 22 Oceans. Thanks for coming on My Music. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Brilliant.
Bye for now.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.